So today we have Marianne Healow in the house on the Miami Hustle. I'm so happy to have her here. This is one of my good friends who we met in the most interesting way.
Truly.
Which I'll talk about it because
Sure.
I have no shame. And today we're going to get to know a little bit about her, her story, what she does, why she ended up in Miami, and what's next for her. So right now we're popping this bottle because it's almost Friday.
It's almost Friday. It's Friday somewhere.
It's Friday Junior. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Oh my God, I've never heard that before. I really like that, and I'm going to use it.
So while she pops that bottle,
yes,
I just want to talk a little bit about how much I admire people like Marianne who come from another city, from a completely different upbringing, and then just end up in a place like Miami, which is the wild, wild east, in case you guys didn't know. And I'm just going to say it takes guts, girl, so kudos to you. Are you popping it?
Thank you.
I'm kind of nervous.
I'm popping it. I'm just, you
Need
know,
help?
I got this. Ooh.
That was nice. So I really admire people like her because I know how tough it is to, and I think many of you can relate, right? How hard it is to come from something completely different and then come to somewhere that is not your home, pretty much start from scratch. Unless you have family or friends, you have to build new connections, you have to start a new network, and depending on the type of career that you have, just completely make a name for yourself. So we're going to start with a cheers to welcome Marianne. Cheers.
I spilled a little, but, you know, that's life.
That's okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Anytime. Oops. No one saw that.
I didn't see that.
That was pretty good. All right, so Marianne, tell us a little bit about who Marianne Healow is. I almost butchered that. Marianne Healow, you know, your upbringing, where you're from, a little bit about yourself, your background, and why you decided to move to Miami, and when.
Okay. Gosh, there's so much to cover, but so yes, I'm from San Francisco originally. I grew up in a family business. My mom had a flower shop downtown San Francisco, and we always went to school nearby the shop. So like every day after school, went to school 6, 7 a.m. After school, went straight to the shop unless we had sports or whatever. But my whole life has kind of been around like the family business. And after I graduated high school, I went to college and I was like, okay, I'm going to do journalism. And I did one semester and I don't think I even showed up for my midterms. I like found a job at a restaurant as like a hostess.
Nice.
And I like wanted to get more work experience. I was so eager to work because I just grew up working and that's all I wanted to do. In school, I love learning, but I just get bored really easily when I'm with the curriculum, with like someone else's schedule. And I think it's just kind of carried on throughout my life. And so, yeah, I worked at this restaurant and I asked the manager and the owner, I was like, hey, can I have some more hours and like just come in during the day, answer the phone. I want to get more experience working kind of in an office setting. And so that kind of snowballed into me taking over the private events manager. And it was a fine dining restaurant. We had like 2 private dining rooms, and like it was fine dining. There was like wine. It was like tasting menu style. So I like had to learn a lot about food and beverage and working with kind of like high-end companies that are planning their events. So I basically didn't show up to my midterm, and I took this like salary job at 18, working in a restaurant, not being able to try wines, not being able to try cocktails.
Dang, girl.
Yes.
You've been hustling.
Kind of crazy.
From a very young age.
I've been
Kudos to you.
Kudos to me. Kudos to my mom for instilling that in me too. Like, it's amazing. So yeah, cheers to that.
Wow, 18. So that's very interesting to hear just because myself, for example, was a little different. And later I kind of want to get into your background in terms of your family and where you're from because I know the stereotype. So to hear your story is like, whoa. For us Latinos, it's like you're going to school.
Yeah.
Like they don't care if you have a dream. They don't care if you are going to school. And when I moved here, my parents never verbally said that to me, but they made it very clear.
Yeah.
And so at the time, you know, in my family, in my life, very different than yours, right? I didn't really have entrepreneurship like uncle or aunt or something. And so I was like, all right, well, school it is. And that was pretty much at that time, or so I thought, was my only way out. So hearing your story to me is like impressive, because I wish I would have had that, you know, and I wish I would have started younger. And college was great, but honestly, I would have cut college and just dive right into my career. So that's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about like your family, your upbringing, what that was like? And then I want to know how you ended up here out of all places in the world.
Right. Okay, so my upbringing, so my mom is from Vietnam. She's Vietnamese Chinese. And when you say like, oh, like the stereotype is our family expects us to go to school and like school is most important. And typically in like an Asian household, like you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be like some prestigious position in life. And my mom definitely wanted that for me, and she's bribed me along the way and been like,
Really?
if you go back to school, I'll get you this car. If you did like just anything, I'll do anything to help you. And I've always been like, no, I don't want any help. I want to do this myself.
Right.
And so, yeah, like my mom's from Vietnam, immigrant, like came here with nothing and like worked her way out of like welfare and collecting, you know, checks from the government, and just made an incredible life for herself and for us. And my dad, he is American from Montana, and so random.
Two extremes.
Such extremes. He left home when he was 18, joined the Coast Guard, went to seminary school, like just had a very interesting path too. And he never finished college. Like both of my parents didn't finish college. And it was interesting because my sister, maybe it was because she's the older sibling, the oldest child, and she had to kind of create a path and like go to university, get her master's degree, go be a nurse. And with me, it was my parents were a little bit more relaxed and kind of let me choose my own path. And I'm so grateful for that they let me, given me the space to be independent, but also we're still there. Like I went to Catholic school, had a great foundation, and I think that was a great setup for me through life, like private Catholic school. And I kind of carried that with me, you know, whatever they taught me instilled in me and brought it with me through life. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So are you the younger sibling?
I'm the middle.
Oh, there's more of you.
So it kind of makes sense, right? That like my sister created the path. I'm the middle. I'm kind of like the forgotten child who can do whatever they want. And then the youngest one is like the baby. They're like, yeah, whatever you want, Robert.
Oh, your brother.
JK Robert, but like it was kind of like that.
She's not kidding, by the way. Anyways, that's awesome.
Yes.
So I want to know, in all this and hearing, we're friends, and I knew a little bit about your backstory, but I didn't know it to that degree, right?
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of a platform like this, where I can really like dig in and deep dive into who you are,
Totally.
right? Because maybe I'm biased because you're my friend, but I remember since the first time I met you, I saw like your spark, like I saw your light, and that's why I was attracted to you in terms of like wanting to be your friend, even though it was like a random night out, and you know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
We connected.
but definitely I noticed that about you even from the first time that I saw you, and that's one of the reasons why I've decided to keep you around in my circle per se, because I know there's a lot that I can learn from you, and I know there's
Same
a lot.
to you.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much why you're here today, because you were one of the chosen ones.
Oh. and you told me I'm the first woman.
You're the first girl.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. I love
Yes.
women because I feel like we're very resilient and we're very powerful.
Yes.
But can I be honest with you? Every other girl that I've asked, because in this game I've learned that it's about just asking and like setting it up, right? Like I can't get discouraged because someone told me no.
Right.
So when I told you, and I remember we had that phone call, and you were going through something, which we'll talk about in a little bit, just how life throws things at you, and then you kind of just make the best out of it. And you were like, you know what? I'm not ready, but I'm ready. And I was like, yes.
Stay ready.
So I love that, and I appreciate that. And so now I want to know, transitioning from, your background and your upbringing, how did you end up in Miami, Florida, out of all places? You didn't go to Montana. You didn't stay home.
No.
Why Miami?
So it was, so right before COVID, I came to Miami for Super Bowl weekend. It was like the Niners were in it. I'm from San Francisco.
That wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. It was January, February 2020. So I came to Miami for the first time.
Nice.
Obviously, Super Bowl weekend. Everything was like extra fun. So many events. I had the best time. I felt like I was in another country. Like people were talking to me in Spanish, and I'm like, hablo un poquito, pero I will try. But it was just so fun. I had such a great time. I felt like I could really be myself here. Like everyone is here to have fun, but people are grinding here too. And so I really enjoyed that. And I felt like it was time for something new in my life. Even though when I first came here, I didn't know I was going to move here. But I came back like a month later, spent a week, and I was like, oh, I still really like this. And then when my very last day here, there was talk about COVID and whatever during that whole week. But I flew back to San Francisco, and that day, the mayor announced shelter in place, everybody stay home.
Back home.
Yeah, back in San Francisco. And I was very positive about, I was optimistic. I was like, oh, it's not going to last very long. But it ended up blowing up. And I kind of moved back home because my mom, she's from a communist country, and she's like, you don't know if the government is gonna.
Yeah, she probably freaked out.
She freaked out, and she was like, you don't know if they're gonna make you stay inside, not be able to leave. You need to be with the family, not alone in your apartment in the city. So I moved back home, and I was there for maybe 2 months before I was like, I can't go backwards in life. I can only move forward. And so I decided to go to Miami. I was only going to do 2 months, but I ended up staying. I never left.
Yes.
I ended up staying, and the job I was working, so after the restaurant, I had my own business with my sister. We did event flowers and event planning. We did that for maybe 7 years before I got asked by a wedding planner that I had interned and worked for. She basically acqui-hired me. In hindsight, I probably should have sold my business, but I was so naive and all that. And so I ended up just kind of transitioning out of my business. My sister went back to nursing. It was just kind of like the right time.
Right.
And I went into that 6 months before COVID, and COVID hit. Events weren't happening. So I was like, I'm going to go to Miami. When I'm needed, when events are happening, I'll fly back when I need to. And it just kind of evolved into something different. I tried to leave and get into real estate because I found that I really wanted to change career paths. And I've always loved, I've loved helping people. I loved being out, hosting in a way. And so, yeah, I fell into that. But then 6 months later, the wedding planner called me, and she's like, hey, the girl who took over your role, she needs help. So can you come back? This is the offer. And I was like, oh, I can't turn that down. So I went back, and yeah, that's just, I've been working remote, traveling to wherever we're having events. And it's kind of it started off with being Bay Area and then evolved into destinations. So last year, I was in Miami, 90 days out of the year.
Oh, trust me, I know. Trust me, I know.
I know. She tried many times to get
I was
together.
like, hey, where you at? Let's have lunch. Let's have dinner. Oh, I'm in Dubai.
Oh,
I'm
not
in Mexico.
Dubai. Okay, I wish Dubai, but yes, Mexico.
I'm in Italy. I'm everywhere, but I'm not home. And I'm like, okay, well, you're fired as a friend. No, I'm kidding.
I know. Well.
I'm kidding. That's awesome. How would you say that you have been able to manage your regular life, right? Healthness, wellness, times with friends, time with family,
right?
And then traveling, and then a business, and then real estate. That's a lot. How do you juggle all that? What is your center?
Oh, man. Well, it has been a lot. And I feel like I'm finally coming back to myself. And yeah, something has come up with work where I got checked, and now I'm like, oh, I need to come back to center because I think it's so easy. I think mostly for women, it's hard for us to say no. We want to take on so much. Like, we are so capable. And I say yes to a lot of things. And I do a lot of things. And I don't take much time to reflect on and, like, center on and stop and be like, how do I feel? And I've taken, you know, this past week to really do that. And I mean, I do everything, right? I work, I travel, I spend time with friends, I make time for exercise, for health, my family. Like, it's a lot. I can't even imagine throwing kids into the mix.
I hear you, girl.
You know?
Preach.
But I think
cheers to all the moms. Sorry, that stressed me out because I agree.
To the moms. I don't even know how my mom did it. Raising a family, running a business, cooking for everyone, still being present to, like, come to our basketball games, come to our soccer, volleyball, like,
it's a lot.
Do all the things. I'm like, I'm tired thinking about it. But yeah, I think something that I really want to focus on more is not only my physical health and well-being, but, like, the mental too. And really taking time to, and I've been saying this for years, journal, do all these things. Yeah. And it's something that we just, like,
toss it to the side.
Yeah. We're like, I just got to keep going.
Yeah.
So this is something that I would like to implement and have been in the last week. And it's hard, but you have to stay consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, like, a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
You don't have to do any, like, dramatic changes. 5 minutes every morning. It's so doable and very sustainable. So
I can definitely relate. That's something that I was discussing with a friend, and even I was on another podcast, and they kind of asked me, like, what my next plan was, or, like, the next 5 years or whatever. I don't know how we got into the conversation, but I literally said the same thing that you said, but in different words. I said, you know, we're always running, and I've learned that sometimes, as fast as I want to go, doesn't mean that I'm going to achieve more if I can't take a moment to sit down and reflect and really think about not only what I want, but, like, how is what's happening right now making me feel? Right. Because even though I feel like as entrepreneurs, we become very tough. Like, we can be going through a breakup, we can be going through so many things, but because we know that we have to perform, we'll just shove everything under the rug. But then whether we acknowledge it or not, that always comes back in some way, shape, or form.
It will.
And I think one of the things about growing up as an entrepreneur and as a person in general is realizing that, like, it's okay to take a step back. Like, we're not quitting, we're not stopping. We're just taking a moment to really, like, be like, okay, what's happening? What do I need to get rid of? How can I become better? Right. And how can I make this more fulfilling for myself? Because something that I think ends up happening, and I'm sure you love what you do, and I do too, but there have been moments of burnout because we're so focused on doing the job and performing, but we forget that there's another aspect to it, which is our emotions, you know, our mental health. And so I think what you just said is spot on, because I relate. I know I relate, so I know other people do as well. So can you tell me a little bit more about what Marianne does for work-life balance?
Work-life balance. Well, the work-life balance.
It's a funny question because...
It's a funny question.
I know it is.
It's a hard thing to do.
Trust me. I get it.
You know, it's hard to, like, speak about it, but I think I do it. And because a lot of people are like, I don't really post a lot about work. When I'm posting on social media, it's, like, about the fun I'm having and how happy I am in my life. So I guess it's hard to speak on it because I'm living it.
Right.
But I think spending time with my friends, traveling, I think travel is the best. You, like, meet people. You experience different cultures. Like, the world is so big.
It gives you different perspectives, too.
Different perspectives. And health and wellness. Like, I found my hobbies. I love Pilates. I love paddle. It has become, like, a great way to meet people and make friends who have similar interests. Because it can be kind of like going through the motions when you're doing those things by yourself. Like, I was going to Pilates by myself, going to paddle, doing clinics by myself. And I would meet people through that and make friends and like do those things together. And I feel like community is so important. And I find balance through that. I think I'm an extrovert, so I get energy from being with other people. And of course, I need time to be on my own and recharge. But I think for me, being with other people really enriches my life. I don't want to do life by myself. I really don't. And it makes me happy to be with other people and to share that with others.
I think that's a very bold statement for you to make in a good way, because most people have this energy like, oh, you know, like I was born by myself, I'm going to die by myself. Like I don't need anyone. That's cute.
I don't want that.
That's cute.
I'm choking thinking about that.
But the reality is it's true what you're saying. Like, and I think especially us, when I say us, I mean like entrepreneurs, we're kind of like trained to have that mindset. Like, you know, you got to do it, whatever. But I think there is power in a community and in working in unison and working in a team.
Right.
Although I don't think that's your issue, just because I know you and like based off what you're sharing. But for some people, I think the biggest issue is their ego. And I don't know if you've heard the saying, ego is not your amigo. So I feel like in life and in business, it's so important to always check your ego and check yourself. And it's like, even in your career and whatever you specialize in, like, I'm sure they have moments where you know you're good, but like, there have moments where you're like, all right, let me chill. Like, let me take a step back to learn.
Right. And yes, I feel like this thing that has come up with work has really checked my ego and been like, you know, you're not always right. And yeah, like sometimes you have to be a little bit humble, yes. And oh my God, what's the word I'm looking for?
Open to learning, always a student of the game. Like, always remember that you're not like, you think you made it, but you haven't made it, or you think you know it all, but you don't know it all.
Yes, exactly. So like this thing that came up for me recently, it was a wake-up call, and a call to what do I really want to do? How do I want to share my talents and like myself, but also still honoring me and the people around me that I'm working with, you know? And I think just like being really honest with what it is that you want is so important. And that's where taking time to reflect and like check in with yourself is so important. Because like the last few years have been so like go, trying to keep up.
Yeah.
My life has become unmanageable because I just keep saying yes. And I'm not like truly thinking. And like you said earlier about like breakup and whatever, like I probably didn't process my breakup that happened over a year ago. And it's like, now that things are kind of slowing down, everything's coming up for me. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And so it's like, it's so important to have like a coach or a mentor or a therapist. And that's like the ego, right? It's like, everybody needs that. My ex was like, I don't need that. But it's like,
we all need it.
We all need it.
Yeah.
Like, we need to break the ego.
Yeah.
In order to be like real people functioning with others in the world. Because it's like, okay, yes, you are born by yourself and you're going to die by yourself. But is that really true? No. Like, you're born surrounded by family, surrounded by community. Like, we have to learn how to play nice with each other. And I think it starts with breaking down the ego.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's tough because I don't know what your experience is, right? Like, I grew up in Miami since I was 6 years old, and I'm now in my 30s. So for me, living in a city like this, it's true. Like, since I was a little girl, it's always been like, we're going at 1,000. And it took me pretty much until now that I'm an adult to realize, like, okay, whether I accept it or not, or whatever's going on in my life, like, this is going to keep going at 1,000. So if I don't learn how to slow down, I'm going to crash and burn, which I have many, many times. So now I'm at a place where it's like, okay, I don't want to crash and burn anymore. I feel like as you get older, and it's not an age thing, it's just like, it's a, like, damn, we're here again. You know, like how many times have we been through this?
Yes.
Like, have we not learned?
Right. And if you don't deal with it, you're going to keep doing the same thing.
Right.
Over and over again.
So I love this place. It's amazing, but it's true what you're saying. Like, it really, if you don't learn how to, like, you know, take the bull by the horns, it can really, like, destroy your life. And not even in ways that people think. It's like, it's your own self, like, trying to keep up with the Jonases, trying to stay at the speed of everyone else and trying to compete. And it's like, for what? You know, a lot of people that put on facades, if you really look inside, they're not happy, they're not fulfilled, they don't have people in their lives who actually care about them. So it's like, it's what you're saying, what is the point? Like, they have money, whatever, but if you look at everything, they're alone. So now that we're in the topic of being alone or not being alone, it's about to get juicy. We're not going to talk about names or any of that because we respect everyone's privacy. But you brought up a breakup, and I don't want to talk about the breakup. I just want to talk about what your experience has been like dating in Miami and what your experience has been like dating as someone who's trying to run your own business, who's trying to, you know, work on themselves and all these things that we're just trying to do. And then we're also trying to find our person. So tell me a little bit more about what your experience has been with that. And I'm going to pour you up because I feel like we need it.
Please do. So when I first came to Miami, I like got on the apps, of course, because I didn't really know people. I had one friend here, and she was also semi-new. And so I got on the apps. I met a lot of people, went on a lot of dates. It was so fun, but like nothing really stuck.
Sustainable.
It's not sustainable. And, you know, I probably wasn't ready for a relationship either because I was new. I didn't want to be tied down either. But
she said, don't tie me down.
I mean, yeah. My Instagram bio does say, catch me if you can. So.
I'm dead. Okay, Leo.
I'm a Sagittarius. But it is.
Leo DiCaprio. Catch me if you can.
See it. Oh, my God. Well, I was going to say, I'm not a Leo, but I am a fire sign. So, but yeah. So lots of fun dating, nothing stuck. And I think what I realized, I have so many thoughts about it, but you know, I try to stay positive, right? Like everything is what you make of it. And I think the thing in Miami is there's so many beautiful people. I feel like in a way there's like a lot of competition. In the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, it's a little bit competitive. Like when I go out, like guys will go to like the most beautiful girls, I feel. Like I have this one friend who's like so like she's like perfect. And one time we went out, three of us. You're like me? Three of us, and like usually guys don't approach me.
Really?
I don't know if I have like a RBF, but like they don't approach me.
I'm going to tell you what it is because the same thing happens to me, but continue.
I have a feeling I know what you're going to say. But yeah,
we'll talk about it.
She's so gorgeous, and they approach her. And I think that's the thing. In Miami, it's very, I hate to say that. I don't want to say this.
Say it.
But it's very much about the looks.
It is.
It's a little vain.
It is.
And I don't want to be with people that are looking for that anyways, right?
I agree.
And so my last relationship, it was someone that is not from Miami. And I was like, this is the secret. But obviously, you know, there were like other issues too at play, and it didn't work out. But I did learn a lot from that relationship. And I remember I used to like, if I was like getting ready or something to go out, if I like wanted to go to the grocery store, I'd be like, whatever. I got a man. Like, I don't need to do anything.
Right.
And I've kind of kept that mentality while we're not together anymore. Mm-hmm. I still have that. And it's not like I have a man. It's like I have myself.
That's right.
So I don't need to look pretty or whatever, put on makeup. I'm just going to go as is. I don't even care. But now, like in the last year, it's been very hard dating, obviously because of my own schedule, traveling, whatnot. Like I'll date people where I'm at.
Right.
And I kind of like, I would go up to New York a lot to date because I'm like, oh, I like New York guys. I like their assertiveness and like they're true gentlemen.
Yeah.
They've got good jobs. And then I, like, from from New York, I moved on to like abroad.
I love that for her. I love that for
So I'm like manifesting a European, and it may not have been manifested, but
Ooh.
ooh, that's
You gotta catch up after this.
Yes, we're gonna talk offline. But yeah, so, and I've kind of like, one of my really good friends, you know, she told me, she's like, just be open to the possibilities. Like, maybe you'll turn the corner and you'll meet someone. Maybe you'll meet someone at the gym or at paddle or wherever you are. Just be open to the possibilities. And I'm trying to be very positive and like attract what I want. Because I think if you say dating sucks, it's going to suck.
You're going to attract it.
You're going to attract that. You're going to go into a date and be like, ugh, this sucks.
Yeah.
But if you go in with like positive energy, like you could probably bring out the positive in someone else, or they see that genuine side of you and they're going to match that, you know, like people are going to match your energy.
I agree.
So,
yeah, I mean, I think the topic of dating is subjective, and it also depends on where you live, and it also depends on the group of people that we're talking about. And I can agree with you that, and I can only tell you this out of experience. I'm not just saying it because I'm trying to trash talk or be in agreement with you. I've grown up here my entire life, and I've dated men from here my entire life.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is very true. And as I got older, I realized how much worse it got.
Oh, God.
No, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, I want to know. Okay, what has it been like?
You talked about like it's vain. It is vain, right?
Yes.
And I didn't notice that when I was in my teens or maybe whatever. But what I did notice is like, and I think this is just girls being teenagers, but like I would see other girls and I would be like, oh, well, she's prettier than me and whatever.
Yeah.
That's always going to happen if you start comparing yourself to other people.
Right.
Now that I'm an adult and I'm very confident in myself and my skills and what I have to offer, that's no longer my thought process. Like I see other girls. I know there are girls who are more beautiful than I am, but I know what I have to offer. I know that I'm intelligent. I know that I know how to make money. I know that I can be a good housemaker. And then on top of that, once again.
And you are beautiful.
Thank you.
You're the whole package.
The moral of the story is I've learned that when I go out and when I'm around other people, there will be women that are more beautiful than I am. And I've also learned that men are attracted to what they see.
Right.
We're more attracted to what we feel and like what you make us think and like, wow, you paint us a dream and a vision and we're like, you might not be the hottest, but you sell us that dream and we're sold. You know? So I know this about men, and this has just been in my experience with them and even my male friends and even science. Like if you study science, it talks about that, right? So I don't beat myself up about that. I'm very aware that I'm going to go out and there's going to be girls that are more attractive than me. But I also know that those men that are out there with these women, they might just be looking for that. They might just be looking for a good time. So I'm not going to sit here and beat myself up because you're out looking for a good time.
Yeah.
Clearly, you're going to go for like the 10 and that's okay. Right? But then at that point, you're just out looking for a good time.
Right.
So I've learned too, it's like, it matters where you look. And then it also matters to just be very confident in what you have to offer. And I think the reason why, because it happens to me, right? The reason why men approach me, but I'm kind of mean. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm like, okay, like whatever.
I mean, it's kind of like it's a test in a way. Like, can you handle this?
True.
You know?
Most of them can't, sorry.
Right.
No offense.
I mean, it's
respectfully.
If it's true, it's true, you know?
Yeah, if the shoe fits. But anyway, I think the issue with women like us, and now that I'm older and like bird's eye view, and I've just learned to own it. And now I'm kind of grateful in a way because it does make my pool a lot smaller. But I know the people that are in that pool, like they're not playing around, they're not playing games, and they're serious because to deal with women like us, you have to be like, serious.
You need to be like a really
on point,
like a real man, very strong, like alpha. You know, like you're an alpha female. Like it's got to take an alpha, like a real alpha, not just someone that's like I'm an alpha man.
Ego, right?
Yeah, not an egotistical.
I've
but
dated
like
a fake alpha,
real.
so I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So the
No comment.
the moral of the story is, the reason why it's harder for women like you and I today, and the reason why more often than not I don't want to use the word scared, but they're hesitant to approach us is because no one likes to be rejected.
Well, yeah, and I think it's also like them being ready or not. Like,
Most of them
ready for a real woman.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm not going to lie, the relationships that I've had where it hasn't worked out, majority of them, like if there's one thing that I can pinpoint that they all said where I don't think I'm ready for this. And when they say I don't think I'm ready for this, it might not necessarily be that I don't think that they're ready for a relationship, but I don't think that some people are ready for a relationship where you're going to be tested, you're going to be challenged, you're going to have your partner who is going to be right there with you in some occasions, depending on the season, above you. And I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about mindset or other things.
Yeah.
And that, whether you're a man or a woman, that's a very challenging thing. That's not everyone's cup of tea.
Right.
And I think that that's probably one of the reasons why we're still single, which there's nothing wrong with that. The way I'm taking it is, and I want to hear your perspective after this, is like in a time of singleness, my reflection has been that all the time and the energy and the everything that I had hoped for with this other individual, now that I have all that time back for myself, I'm pouring it into myself.
Of course.
I'm pouring it into my brand, into my business, into my mindset, into my spirituality, into my relationships with my friends. And I'm never gonna lose because the gift that keeps on giving, right? Like what's your highest ROI is pouring into yourself.
Yeah.
So that's been my reflection on singleness now, and it is what it is.
I feel like that applies to everything in life too.
Yeah.
Like, you pour into yourself, you're never going to lose, whether it's a relationship, it's business, or just anything.
I agree.
I love that.
I went on a rant. Sorry.
No, I love it.
I felt it in my spirit.
Yeah, it's like, it's tough. I feel like it's really hard to find when you're such an independent woman who can like take care of themselves and has a lot to offer. I feel like it's hard to find that here. I don't know why, but I feel like in Miami, it's very like traditional. In a sense that like men want to be the provider. They want a submissive woman. In my experience, this is what I have found.
Fair enough.
And I think it's very hard to find people who are going to be real and authentic about what they really want and who they really are here. And I got like my birth chart read after my breakup. One of my clients gifted me a birth chart reading, and the reader, he didn't know anything about me at all. And he was like, you need an unconventional man. And I've really been on like a quest to be like, what is an unconventional man? And I think that's just, that's the journey that I'm on, is discovering, because I wasn't like, oh, what is that? Who is that? I feel like it's like,
figure it out.
What is that for me?
Yeah.
So that's the journey that I'm on, figuring that out. But like I said, I'm finally catching up to my life and finally reflecting, and we'll see.
I love that. I think it's great. I mean, I hadn't seen you since you've been back because you've been traveling all over the place. But I could say that I see you in a more relaxed state. Like I see you in a more calm state, which is a good thing. And I know you said it's only been a week, but, you know, sometimes we just have to ground ourselves to our roots and like figure it out. Like you said, come back to ourselves. And that can happen after a breakup, after a relationship. So kind of want to throw a left field question at you. And no, it's not hard, I promise.
Okay.
It's about business, but it's also about being a woman in business, because I feel like, you know, there's this constant debate of like, you know, women, men in business, and I don't care what anyone tells me. This is still a man's world. Now, are there more women that are taking the lead and taking charge? For sure. But it's been proven time and time again in the past few years that the world is not ready for a world that is ran by women. And that's it's fine. You know, we make the best out of it that we can. So how do you think that being a female entrepreneur and a female business owner, how have you found that challenging in terms of, I mean, I'm curious to know, because I know your career path and what you've chosen is very different. But how do you battle with the feminine versus the masculine when it comes to your role in business?
Well, I will say that the industry I come from is very it's led by women. It's the wedding industry.
Right. That's amazing.
So it's kind of hard to say with that. Like, I feel pretty empowered in that industry. But as I kind of dived into real estate and doing that, that's like a very male-driven industry. And competing in a way with men and working with men's egos. And
I love that.
I think that it's like there's something about being a woman that is empowering, and I'm not really like intimidated by men so much. Like, I feel like we have such great intuition and we can see through bullshit a lot of the times.
Rare.
Yeah. And so
Cheers to that.
Cheers. Cheers to that. So I'm not intimidated by men. And I do think that something, though, is that I kind of let them. I never try to like shut anybody down, right? Or like try to shoot at their ego. But I just kind of let them have it, right?
Yeah.
But like, I'm going to move the way I'm going to move around that.
Right.
Because I feel like we see everything.
We have the goggles on.
We got the goggles. And, at the same time, I do feel like I change the way I move too. Like, maybe I deepen my voice a little bit, or I kind of like,
the stance.
have like a power stance to also let them know that like,
I'm in the room, bitches.
I'm in the room. You can't take advantage of me, but I see everything.
Right.
It's like, be strong, but also like,
stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
That was a great answer. I actually was not expecting that.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people get deep with that, like, being a woman, and it's like, okay, sis, we got it, being a woman.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Maybe I just gave away our secret, but like, yeah, it's like, I trust my intuition, and I know that it's going to help me move the right way with like integrity and grace. And I think that is such a powerful thing about being a woman, is like being graceful and being strong at the same time.
Yeah, I can agree with you. It's tough. I mean, for me, it's a little different because I'm in the finance industry.
Yeah, so different.
And that's like men.
Yeah, I can only imagine. That is like a completely different world.
Yeah.
Than what I'm used to.
Yeah, I've had to learn how to, like, a lot of people don't really know me. You know me because you're my friend, and I'm very. Hopefully you can agree with me. I'm very kind. I'm very nice. Like, I'm sweet.
Yes.
But in the business world, I've had to learn to be very direct.
Yeah.
And very sharky.
Right.
And in the beginning, it was so hard for me to develop that about myself because it doesn't come to me innately. Like, people think that it does, but it doesn't. Because as a woman, that's not really innate to us.
Right.
Like, we innately are caring and kind and soft. And so the issue that I come across a lot is like, well, you're very masculine and you're very strong. And I was like, well, if you only knew, that's what I had to learn how to do to survive.
Right.
So I think the topic of masculinity and femininity when it comes to business with men and women is a topic that should be talked about more. Because I think that a lot of people, when I say people, I mean men, some do, but majority don't. And like, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but like, to me, it's like, oh, like, I thought you were a bitch, or I thought you were mean. And I never take that offensively, honestly, because it's what I have to do for you to respect me. Because if I was nice all the time, you'd walk all over me. You would stomp me like I was a doormat.
Yes.
So that's...
And it's unfortunate that, like, we have to be labeled as that, like, you're being a bitch. But it's like, I'm just being a man.
Literally.
Right? Am I not just being like a man? So
I never
are you
heard
saying that a man is a bitch?
That's crazy. I never thought about that. It's so
I've never thought about it like that either, but like, it just came to my mind. I was like, I mean, I'm just acting like how a man would.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing about like the gender roles and the traditional gender roles. Like, Yes, there is a way that, the world has been, but it's changing and
Right.
it's evolving. And, we
Right.
have to change with it.
I agree.
And not put labels on women for being the way.
Assertive.
Being
Powerful.
being assertive and powerful. Like, the floor is ours.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Cheers to that.
Yes.
I want to cheers to everything.
I know, me too. Like, oh, look at us.
This is too much fun.
But yeah, it's like, it's so interesting. I love hearing about this because I'm like a woman in the arts,
Right.
So I don't see this like finance cutthroat world, but that's how America's run is.
Not on Duncan.
Definitely not on Duncan.
Are you a Duncan or a Starbucks girl?
Neither. I don't like
Mainstream. So what do you drink then?
Mainstream. I drink an espresso.
Me too.
I drink matcha. Like, I make matcha at home.
Nice. Matcha's good.
Like, I'd rather go to like a smaller cafe bakery, but I'm like, I'll do it at home too.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I'm going to Paris in like 10 days.
Of course you are. I thought you were done traveling.
I thought I was too, but like the new thing that came up in my life, I'm like,
the new thing.
And I'm running away in a way.
Wow. Take me with you. I want to go. Never been to Paris. I got close, but it didn't
Oh my
happen.
gosh. It's becoming spring.
I've heard it's beautiful. But since we're on the note
really
of
beautiful.
adapting and evolving with the world, I wanted to ask you this very important question.
Okay.
It's a question that I ask all of my guests on the podcast. And it might take you a moment, it might not.
Okay.
But the question basically is, right, 18-year-old Marianne. She's, and I know you talked about when you were 18 and what was happening to you. So obviously it was a very pivotal moment in your life. What advice would you give 18-year-old Marianne now at this point in your life from everything that you've experienced? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just based off when you've been able to reflect in all these years. What advice would you give that younger version of yourself?
I think back to that time and I was like, oh, I'm such a boss ass bitch. Like, I'm making.
You thought you made it, huh?
I was like, oh my God, I have a salary, I have a business card. I'm like planning a private dinner for Sofia Vergara.
You're like, I'm that bitch.
I'm that bitch.
If only you knew.
If only you knew. I think that one thing I would tell myself, my younger self, is, something that this woman on the beach told me and my sister.
I want to hear this. This sounds interesting.
She said, ask for the moon. Like, nothing is too big to ask for. And I think having that mentality of, like, being able to ask for what you want and, like, nothing is too big is also, like, what comes with that is being strong. And, I should have asked for more at that time, but I think I was so eager. I was like, oh, like, I'm getting out of school. Like, I'm done with school. I've got this job.
Yeah, you thought you
and it was,
made
like, good enough, right?
Yeah.
I probably could have gotten paid more in hindsight, but I was happy, right? I was fine. Like, life isn't all about money, but I think just, like, having that, like, empowerment to, like, advocate for myself would have translated to other instances and things that happened during that journey. And, like, ultimately the reason why I left that job is to, be empowered and strong and advocate for myself in whatever situation I'm in. Because, and it's like I was saying, like, being nice and feminine and soft but, like, still seeing people, you do kind of, like, it's a blessing and a curse because people will take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. And it's happened, and I hate being, like, the victim or whatever.
It happens. It's happened to me, too.
It happens.
Yeah.
I've gotten taken advantage of, like, I didn't deserve to, like, change my path. But in hindsight, everything happened for a reason, and I just only leveled up. But if I had advocated for myself more, I think I'd be more empowered, and I wouldn't keep running into these same issues that I do. And yeah, so, you know, like being strong and being a bitch, like sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. And I'm learning and I'm trying.
No, that's great. I think it goes back to the previous conversation that we were having about reflecting. And I think that when I got asked that question on the podcast that I was on, I was like, shit, what would I tell myself? And I remember responding to the host. I was like, there's so many things that I would tell myself.
Right.
But what I told myself in
Yes.
the interview, like that I told myself,
Yeah, I
right,
wanna know.
was that to just chill. Like, because I've always been a planner and I've always been very like A-type, like it has to be this way, whatever. And when it wouldn't happen, I would be so devastated.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
that's it, the world is over. And
Well, you're a Capricorn.
yeah, but I feel like that happens to a lot of people,
Yeah.
like especially business people. Like, I feel like for you to have the guts to even start a business, you have the end in mind, or you have like an idea in mind of what needs to happen. And then as you're going through it and it's not happening, whether you're a Capricorn or not, it's devastating. Like, you're like, crap, I gave up my life savings, I quit my job, and like, it's not happening. What do I do now? And I think that anybody could relate to that. So the advice that I give myself, and that I would give any of you, just like chill out. Like, I know you have a plan, I know you have an idea, right? But it's what you were saying. It's like, you adapt, you evolve, and it's like everything happens for a reason.
100%.
So I've learned from my curveballs, even though I don't like them, like they're thrown at me to teach me a lesson. So rather than getting angry and frustrated about them, I'm just like, all right, let me catch them.
Yeah.
Let me catch them.
I feel like we can learn so much from each other, because it's like, from what I'm learning from you is like, be strong, be cutthroat, be a bitch. Sorry for swearing, but
you're so cute.
That's what I can learn from you, is to like be a little harder, you know? And I think, like, from what you just told me, I feel like that the way I've lived my life is like, just chill. I'm like taking one thing after the other.
Yeah.
I come from an event planning background. Like, I'm always planning things for other people. I don't plan anything for myself.
Really?
Oh, no. I mean, like, maybe I'll plan a trip. Like, I'll book the flight.
That's about it.
And maybe I'll be like, okay, I want to do this and this. But I'm so, like, loose and, like, just, like, whatever happens, happens. Go with the flow. Like, when I started my business, even, like, going back to, like, I went to school and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to journalism. And I was like, I'll, like, take this opportunity at the restaurant. And, like, that snowballed into, like, a management position. And then from there, I started the business with my sister. I didn't have a plan with that. There was no plan, like, this is how we're going to grow. It was just, like we grew naturally. Our business naturally grew. And, like, I don't want to sound entitled or anything, but, like, everything that's happened in my life has kind of, like, come to me.
Right.
And I've just adapted. And I don't know if it's coming from, like, an immigrant mother who lived in, like, a refugee camp and who has always had to adapt in life. Like, I've taken that on from her, but I'm not a planner. I'm not like this is my 5-year plan. This is my 1-year plan. I don't have a plan. I'm just like, okay, does this feel right? Is this what is working for me now?
Right.
And I'm like, it's never like come to me as like being reinventing myself, but like right now I'm kind of coming at a head where it's like, do I need to reinvent myself? But I've kind of switched that thinking to being like coming back to me and the things that I want to do in my life and what I want to achieve, even though I don't really have the plan or the goals.
That's not true.
Like,
You know what you want.
I do know what I want. But
that's already
like,
a plan. Knowing what you want is already a plan.
But
sorry to break it to you, honey.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. So it's, for me, it's not reinventing. It's remembering who the F I am.
That's right.
And coming back to me.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wow, that was beautiful. I felt that right here, because I feel like in this journey, and not even entrepreneurship, just life, like you kind of at some points do forget who you are. Yeah. And it's probably the worst thing that could happen to you, because I don't know if you've ever felt this, like it's happened to me. with relationships,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can apply this to anything, not necessarily relationships, but you give so much of yourself.
Yeah.
And you were so eager and you're so excited and you have so many expectations and so many visions and plans for this thing, right? Whether it's a
Right.
relationship, a business, whatever. And then it doesn't work out. And then now you're kind of just there like, well, you know, the thought process that most of us have while we're going through the emotions is like, I wasted my time, like this hurts, this, that.
Right.
But what I've taken away from it is like, okay, what did I learn from this?
Yes.
And then not only what did I learn from this, but what can I apply moving forward so I don't go through the same scenario over and over and over again.
Right.
It's what we were just talking about. If you don't deal with it, it's going to manifest itself in your personal relationships, in your business, in pretty much everything in your life. So I think that one of the main topics that we talked about today is self-reflection, like how important it is to reflect on just everything.
Yeah.
And I know you said, like, I don't have a plan. I don't know. I'm going with the flow. But if you know what you want, you kind of have a plan, whether you acknowledge it or not. Like, it's formulating in the back of maybe you can't, like, pull out a script and be like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the fact that you already know what you want, it's just a matter of you putting together the game plan to get to that end goal.
Yes.
So do you have any final words, thoughts, anything for our guest here today? And I also want you to share your handle. How can they find you if they want to book you for an event or real estate, if they need a showing, they need a realtor. Not only is she beautiful, but she's talented, guys. So go ahead. Shameless plug.
The shameless plug. So my Instagram handle, I've never said it out loud, I don't think.
I mean, is it a secret?
It's not a secret, but it's like kind of like girly, whatever.
Who cares?
I know. I'm a girl. I'm just a girl. It's exo.marianne, MARIANNNE, 3 N's.
Okay.
It got stolen. I had 2 N's.
It's okay.
I became exo Miami Mari. Then I was
I remember that. What happened to that?
Well, I went to France and I was
You're like, no longer Miami.
I was like, I'm not in Miami anymore. I'm Marianne, which is like, it's a very French name.
Really?
Oui. Yeah, final words. What did that one president say? Be soft but carry a big stick. Or am I making that up? Please,
I don't know what
please
you're talking about.
edit that out if that's not correct. Final thoughts.
Oh, shit.
Be true to yourself. Remember who you are. Move through the world with integrity and kindness, but like purpose and like stay strong, stay on your ground. And yeah, I think one of the main things for me is always like go through a situation making sure that it's a win-win for both sides. And I think when you move through life with integrity and purpose and care in that way, a lot of things will come to you.
Preach.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at church right now. This was amazing. Thank you so much, Marianne, for
thank you.
being my guest today. I had so much fun with you.
Me too.
Like I mentioned, you're the first girl that I have on, and
I'm so honored.
I don't want to make this like a thing about girls, but I feel like we just connect differently, and there's so many things that we can dive deeper into because there's times where I want to ask a man this, but I don't want to cross any boundaries, you know.
Sure.
But with a woman, it's like we're the same girl. Like I'm crossing all the boundaries.
We're fine. We're fine being vulnerable.
I'm crossing it all.
Yeah.
Crossing it all. So thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys love Marianne, please follow her and
thanks.
catch us next time.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.